And we're live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to something I tongue-in-cheek call Denver Steveo Investigates. But we're not really investigating. This is more of a report. Just a fun and clever name. You know, you can't baby bear the porridge every time on the first try. So we're probably at Papa Bear now. We'll get another one wrong, and then we'll get it all right. But I'm glad to have you all here tonight. Yeah, it's going to be a very special, very special evening here. We're going to talk with one tough chick, Samantha Kaler, regarding chronic pain in service dogs. So something that probably doesn't get as much attention as it deserves, and something that we want to shed some light to here on SPTV. So, yay. Hey, Logan, good to have you here. Well, thank you. Great to see you. Yeah, so with that, there are kind of a couple of things I should probably just go through quick before we start all the administrative mumbo jumbo. Excuse me, I left something just out of reach. Okay, it is in reach now. So first things first, down below yonder there's all my all my goodies and all my stuff. Feel free if you'd like. This is not what that's not what this channel is for, but everybody likes coffee every once in a while. So and thank you to Claire Headley for buying me oodles and oodles of coffee the last time around. So with that being said, I also do just want to promote very quickly. I might have to use my teeth here. Starting tomorrow, the SP Shop, that is the spshop.com, which is the merchandise store for the Aftermath Foundation, is going to start promoting a new Christmas line. And I'm quite excited to say I have mine, and I want everybody to get theirs. It's going to be a limited edition. There's only so many. I think 2,500 is was the count that has been made. And ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen it already, introducing. Oh, he has so many names. I just need to pick one. The Abracadabra, Little Baby Chuckles, Poopy Pants, Davy doll for Christmas. So make sure you get yours. Coming to the SP Shop tomorrow. Now, I do want to promote the SP Shop a little bit here very quickly. And if I can find the right window now. Let's go here. Let's go here. Oh, that's what I didn't do. That's what I didn't do. I got it now. Okay. I had some issues with this last night, and it created some audio problems for me. So let's go. Let's share our screen, and if I can find it. You'd think I'd have it by now. I don't. That's okay. Oh, because that's where I did it wrong yesterday. Got it. Boy, am I getting smart in my old age. Silence is a wonderful thing, isn't it? Okay, here we go. There we go now. Have to believe this is magic. Because sure it is. There we go. Tomorrow, starting in the SP Shop, you are going to see. This is only a partial list. But little Captain Davy, we got the Elrond's Leprechaun, we've got the Damn It Davy doll, Puppet Boy Davy, Captain Davy Chucklesworth. I think that's what I bought. Captain Keebler, Captain Space Davy, Captain Poopy Pants Dave, Dirty Davy Stinky Troll, Davy the Fart Elf, Dinky Dave the Hole Troll. Now that's only the first page. I don't have the second page, but notice all those names, all those different dolls you can order, and they're all the same guy. So order what you want. Or as was asked yesterday, is there a name your own? And I said, sure, buy any one of them and change their name. So these are all going to be available starting tomorrow at thespshop.com. It's spshop.com. Swing by and get yours. Like I say, only 2,500 of these will be available. They're a special new variation of Elf on a Shelf, and you know that David Miscavige is going to love these. So please swing on over tomorrow morning and get yours to enjoy. Oh, that's good, Logan. Logan can see and hear me. Last night, you could see me but not hear me. So that is a fantastic. We've made some fantastic improvements, I think, haven't we? All right, there we go. So that's all of our marketing. That's all of our fun stuff for the night. Because now we want to focus on something that's a little more serious. Let me think of the best way to truly do this. Our special guest tonight has been dealing with some chronic pain. I say some, but I think to anybody that's ever dealt with chronic pain, even a little is a lot. So I'm not here to make light of that by any means, but our guest has been dealing with chronic pain for years. She had discovered at one point, you know what? This is her story. This is not mine. But I do want to welcome here to the channel, Samantha Keeler, also known in the streams, a great participant to our streams, a great chat comrade. We've had many a fun conversation back and forth, and I'm glad to have her here tonight. If I can find the right button, I'm stalling because I couldn't get to the right button in time. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Samantha, one tough chick. How you doing, Samantha?
I'm doing pretty good. Tonight's mystery, where is Samantha broadcasting from today?
Where are you broadcasting from today?
Actually, I'm at my house today. I'm not at work, and I'm not at my mom's house, and I'm not in the car.
Wonderful. We're glad to have you in a stable spot. It looks like you're comfy for the night. So
Yeah, I'm in one of my favorite chairs. We put it in our boys' room so that they have a place to sit and read and hang out together.
wonderful.
So, but
Wonderful.
they're off with my mom tonight, so
Okay. Well,
they're staying at grandma's tonight.
there is I always loved staying at grandma's. So very cool. Very cool. So welcome, and the group is saying hi as well.
Hey,
there is yep, there's Logan saying it. Oh, look at that. Colby's saying his gaming room. Great to have you in, Colby.
Honey, I see you, Colby. I love you, babe. Glad you're here.
Here we go. We've got.
Yeah, that's your chair. Yeah, no, it's my chair. I bought it.
Stephanie also says hi to you. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, and then Joel also. Hey, Joel, good to have you in the audience as well. Thank you very much. So,
And we have my husband's cat, Doodlebug, aka Doodles,
hey,
who has
Doodles.
decided to join us and be curious about what mommy is doing tonight.
Awesome. Well, Doodles is welcome. So, yay. Um, so, Sam, your story goes back a ways. I know
Yeah.
it's obviously it's not something that just happened 20 minutes ago or anything like that. So,
No, I've been living with this for almost exactly 20 years now.
uh,
Uh, yeah, the day it came to a head was September 17th, 2003. I'd had issues off and on with like my feeling like my hip was out of place or my leg hurting or something like that, but it would always go away. But this one day it just came on and it would not stop, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And um you want to know how bad it hurt? Think of the worst pain you've ever experienced and multiply it by like 1,000. And that's how bad it was.
ouch.
Yeah, and because I was raised with the notion, can't never did anything, and you can do anything you want. You just have to want it bad enough. So I pushed through that day, and I was like, well, I can't work like this. I'm supposed to work, but I was working for Walmart at the time as a front end cashier. That's the person. That's the person that a lot of people. That's the only Walmart associate they deal with. Um, and so it was 2 hours before I was supposed to be there. You have to call in at least 4 hours ahead of time if you're going to call in. And I was like, well, I know I can't call in, but there's no way I can go to work. So, in screaming the worst pain I'd ever experienced in my whole entire life, uh, I drove myself to work and I hobbled my uh, short yet very large ass from the closest spots in the parking lot all the way in to behind where the main registers were. And at that time, we're talking 2003, they had this podium in the front alleyway, uh, the very first big aisle in front of, I think, a lot of stores, the um, clothing and soft lines and stuff is right there. Um, so I walked to the podium where they stored our register tills, and it's a fair distance. So they watched me struggle to walk to them. So by the time I got to them, they knew that I was having a problem. It was very obvious because I was struggling to walk. Um, and I told him what was going on. I told him, hey, I think I need to go to the ER. There's no way I can work tonight because I'm barely standing up right now, and there's no way I can do a full shift like this. And they were like, fine, okay, go take care of yourself. You're fine.
Let me
And
stop,
so
Sam.
then hmm?
Let me stop you for just a second. I want to rewind a little bit. You felt the pain when you were at home, and yet you still had to drive yourself to work. Was this a pain that hurt more in certain positions? I can only
um
imagine that sitting in a car would have been ouch.
well, at this point everything hurt.
Okay,
But it was
okay.
still mostly localized up in my hip area. So I was convinced. I didn't know anything about sciatic nerve problems. I didn't know anything. I was 25. I didn't know anything about sciatic nerve problems. I didn't know anything about sciatica. I knew nothing about nerve damage. So I was convinced my hip was out of socket. And I was like, okay, if I can just get it to pop back in, I'll be fine and everything will be normal. And So I was like, well, okay, I can power through this. I am strong. I am tough. I am stubborn. I can do this. And so it was just okay. I can get this done. I told my mom. She was like, "Do I need to take you?" And I was like, "No, I've got this." And she was like, "Okay," because she's never been one to like tell me don't do that or whatever. If I need to find out the hard way that I can't do something, she's gonna let me figure it out myself. And so I managed to drive 15 minutes across town and get to the local Walmart store. The Walmart store that I worked at was one of the super centers. And our super center covered um, pretty much, I want to say at least a 50-mile radius around where I lived. I grew up in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, which I know most people don't know where that is. Teeny little place just north of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And if that doesn't pin it down for you, uh, it's about 3.5 hours north of Oklahoma City. It's right up there by the Oklahoma Kansas border. And I mean, standing population is probably around 35,000 people, if that. um, but yeah, this we're not talking about a very big place. Uh, it's not so small that everybody knows everybody's business, but you can pretty much guaranteed if you go anywhere in public, you're going to run into someone you know. That's about the size of this town. And so yeah, I got myself there to work. I'm not going to say it was easy. I'm not going to say I didn't say some cuss words. I'm not going to say I didn't say a lot of cuss words
Right.
because I'd be lying. Um, but I managed to get myself there. I managed to do what I needed to do. And then after that, I called my mom and I was like, come get me. Take me to the ER. Let's go to the ER.
Mhm.
It's like my toughness does have a limit. I'm not crazy. I'm not stupid. It's just I'm very stubborn. But I think if I wasn't, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
So you get to the ER with your mom, and then what? What happens there?
Well, I told them what was going on, and so uh, they didn't do an MRI right off because they weren't really sure what was going on. So they take me in, they do some X-rays, and they're like, "Well, it looks like you're dealing with some sciatica. Beyond that, we can't tell. So you need to follow up with your primary care doctor as soon as possible. Probably tomorrow is going to be the earliest. So as soon as you can, go follow up with your primary care and pursue this and see what else we can get done for you." And so they sent me home with a prescription for Lortabs. Uh, Found out later that I am highly allergic to Lortabs. That is hydrocodone. Um, and also a prescription for a skeletal muscle relaxer known as Scalaxin. And I can't remember what the off-brand name of that is. I know that Scalaxin is the brand name. Um, and so that was pretty much the next week of my life. And um, for a month of my life, I spent like this on the couch for actually a little bit more than 30 days, like this, just like this. And I couldn't let my foot dangle off the edge of the couch or it would hurt. I couldn't, it had to be propped up so that I had some support under it. But yeah, I was this for 30 days. I slept like this. I ate like this. I lived like this. This is pretty much, if I wasn't in the bathroom, this is where I was.
Hmm.
And uh, so, yeah, I followed up with my doctor. Of course, she also didn't know. what was wrong with me, but she was one of those doctors. She is one of those doctors that won't say, "Hey, I don't know how to fix you. I don't know what's wrong. Let's refer you over to this other doctor who might know, because this seems like it's a nerve problem. So maybe we should refer you to a doctor that handles nerve problems." No, 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 no. She sat on it for 3 weeks. About a week and a half in, I discovered I was having allergic reactions to Lortabs. And the paperwork that they give you with your medications, it tells you what to look for as an allergic reaction. I was having every single one of the most severe reactions. And you'd think she would have transitioned me onto a different medication that could handle my pain that I was not allergic to. No, no, she just left me on that medication. And it wasn't until my mother and I demanded that she do something. We didn't care if she knew what was wrong with me, we cared that she do something. And we were like, okay, if you don't know what's wrong, that's fine. Get us to somebody who does know what's wrong, who does know how to fix this. And that led to her ordering an MRI for me. And that is really, really fun to do wide awake when you're in screaming pain and you have to hold absolutely still so they can get clear pictures.
Mm.
I didn't find out until I showed up for the MRI that she could have ordered me to have a sedated MRI so that I could be unconscious and not have to worry about being in screaming pain. But no, she couldn't even do that for me. And I ended up getting referred to this wonderful neurosurgeon by the name of Frank Tomachek Jr. Loved him. He was absolutely everything I could want in a doctor because he was honest with me. He told me I can't say that I know how to fix this, but I can show you what I've got, what I do know, and I can tell you what I think is probably the best choices for you to look at. And I was like, okay, great. Exactly what I want. Somebody that will be straight with me. Somebody that will say, hey, I don't know. And when you're dealing with this kind of stuff that is majorly going to interfere with your life, that is majorly interfering with your life, that's what you want. Not somebody that, well, let me look at this stuff and look at that stuff. And you're still sitting there a month later and they haven't done anything, not even taken even the most basic imaging. And they're just letting you sit there on pain meds and not doing anything with you. And so Dr. Tomachek, he was very clear with me. He showed me my MRI results. He showed me the MRI film so that I could see why I hurt as much as I did. And it was very blatant. Even me who doesn't know how to read radiology films, it was very clear why I hurt so bad. And I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Right.
I understand that. And then he was like, well, we've got two choices. We can, one, we can do medication, physical therapy, rest, see if that resolves the problem, because sometimes it does. But because you're as advanced as you are, uh, that probably will not do a whole lot for you. The other choice is to go to surgery and try to clear out what's causing the problem. And keeping in mind the fact that I was 25, that's still really, really young. He didn't want to do more to me than he had to get me back to being functional. And so he was like, okay, if we go in and do surgery, I'm not going to put any hardware in you. I'm not going to do anything other than take out the disc material that is causing the problem. Because what was going on was I had the two discs at the very base of my spine that had fully herniated. Uh, and think about the discs in your spine like little jelly donuts. Uh, It's hard on the outside, really squishy on the inside, and that sits between your vertebrae. Now, the thing to remember about your nerves is they like to have space so that they can move around and do their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And your sciatic nerve is the thickest nerve in your body. It's about the width of your pinky finger. And that likes to have some nice, wonderful space to move around. But when you have a disc or two discs that herniates and fully herniates, your nerve has no space to move around. And because of that, it starts to get angry, it starts to get irritated, and it will get worse and worse and worse. Pardon me, my asthma is flaring up really bad today. Because ragweed is fun and so is goldenrod. um, that's a totally different problem. Um, but yeah, it's like, so when you get to that point, your nerve is getting more and more irritated, and as it gets irritated, it will swell. Um, and I told my neurologist that I was like, okay, what what will 100% guarantee me that the pain level will go down to something that I can tolerate and has even half a chance of getting me back somewhere to what a normal 25-year-old can do. And he was like, to be honest, the surgery is probably your best bet. And it wasn't, he was anxious to cut on me because he really wasn't. He didn't want to do any more to me than he absolutely had to. And at first, he was pushing really hard for me to do the medication and the physical therapy. And I was like, no, no. Um, because that was going to take months to maybe over a year. And I mean, as a young person, you don't want to think or see about that. You don't want to, like, I'm going to be like this for a year, maybe more. No, thank you. And I was just, no, let's just go ahead and do the surgery because whatever happens is going to be better than this. It's got to be better than this.
Right.
And so we went ahead and scheduled the surgery that was going to be on October 28th. And I don't know what is it about October 28th for me, because that's the day I had this surgery. That's the day I got married. That's my client's birthday. And actually, I was driving on the highway up here in Kansas City, and I saw somebody had a temporary tag that the expiration date was October 28th.
Wow.
It's like, what is with this?
It's magic.
It's weird, but the world is. Uh, but yeah, it's like, I was like so excited to have this scheduled, and I'm like, okay, something is going to change. Hopefully, it'll be for the better. And then going up to the day of surgery, I mean, it's normal for your parents to be there for you with stuff like this. And I knew my mom would go. I absolutely knew she would go because she's mama bear. She takes care of her kids. She's there for her kids. And my dad was a very socially shy man. He didn't really like to be around a lot of people, and he had very good reasons for absolutely hating hospitals. And he would not go to one unless he absolutely had to. But that morning that I went in for my back surgery, he went with us. Regardless of how much he hated hospitals, he wanted to be there for me.
Hmm.
And so he stayed until they took me back to the surgery, and he was there when I woke up. He didn't come back any other days after that, but I didn't really expect him to, because I understood. I knew. And I was just really impressed that he showed up that day, because I did not expect him to. And I made it clear that I did not expect him to. So yeah, we get there, we're waiting. They take me back to get me prepped up. They get the IV in and everything, and I'm ready. I'm excited. My pain meds are wearing off, but I'm ready. I'm excited, and they had me all nice and warm and covered up, and then they take me in the OR. First thing they did, they didn't knock me out first. No, no, no. First thing they did was whip the nice warm blankets off of me, so that everybody in that OR saw my bare naked ass. If you have any body shyness, if you have any dignity issues at all, that kind of goes away with that moment. But I in that moment I was like, okay, we're gonna fix this. I'm not gonna hurt this bad anymore. Like, I don't care what else happens. I did not care. I had a moment of, well, that wasn't anything I expected, but okay. And then they knocked me out, and the next thing I know, the surgery is over. I'm in recovery, and I noticed something. Something's different. Takes me a moment to figure out I'm not in screaming pain anymore. And then I notice I'm laying down. This is something I haven't been able to do for over a month. I am laying down. And not only am I laying down, I'm laying on my fresh surgery site. And it doesn't hurt.
Wow.
What? I was like, okay, this was totally worth it at this point. I was like, I'm glad I chose this. And yeah, I do have some residual stuff from the back surgery that I deal with, but I would do that 20 times over to get the same result. To lose screaming pain for pain that's not fun, but I can live with and I can ignore. And you literally can learn to adapt to anything. And I taught myself how to adapt to that. And I mean, you have to, or you're not going to survive. You're certainly not going to make it for 20 years.
Right. So you had said initially the pain was before the surgery, the pain was like a 20 on the pain scale, 20 times worse than, anything people normally deal with.
Yeah, it
After
was
after
like
that surgery,
unbelievably
yeah,
horrible.
right. Once you had the surgery and after all the
Uh,
medications wore off and you were kind of back to quote normal again, where would you rate your pain at that point?
my pain, once I kind of got used to the way that things were after surgery, like
Okay.
after the surgery site had all healed up, and my nerve had had a chance to get used to the fact that it wasn't completely squashed anymore. And something that I didn't know until after I was in the recovery process and I was out of the hospital, uh, was my sciatic nerve had swelled up to almost double the size that it should have been.
Goodness.
And it was, according to Dr. Tomachek's physician assistant, it was on the verge of completely failing, like snapping and not being functional at all anymore. Meaning I would have lost all sensation in my right leg and I would have not had any control over it at all if that had happened. I was probably less than a week from that happening
Mm,
when they did my surgery. So talk about dodging a bullet there.
very much so.
Hello, doodles.
There's the cat.
Yeah, doodles. He's like, hi, mom. What are you doing? You should scratch me.
So so after the surgery, things got a lot better. Um, but they didn't stay better forever. Um, at what point did you um, start to feel pain again that required uh, more help, more support?
Well, the pain never completely went away. I
Mm.
just learned to adapt to it. It went down to a 5 after the surgery, which
Okay.
that is something that you can learn to adapt to and ignore. And I've gotten very, very good at that. And that's actually what facilitated and necessitated getting a service dog when I did. Um, it took me a little while to come to the understanding and the realization that I did need that assistance. Um, well, the thing that I was doing that my friends were like, "You guys, dude, you can't keep doing this. You can't keep doing this." Is I would regularly overtax my body and end up in bed for a couple of days, up to a week. And we're talking, I did this 2 to 3 times a month on average. Sometimes it was more times than that, sometimes it was less, but I was doing this quite regularly. And one of my friends was like, you can get a service dog that can like alert you to when your pain level is spiking so that you're not doing this stuff to yourself and so that you're not going beyond what your body can do safely. And well, I never heard of or thought of a service dog being able to do that. I knew about service dogs helping with blind people. I knew about service dogs helping deaf people, knowing when things that they need to be aware of is going on, stuff like that. But I never really thought about a dog being able to alert to a pain level, to being able to like know when your body is about to hit its limit and to let you know about that and to stop you from being stupid. Thank you, Doodles. Please leave the computer alone. Yes, I know. Hi. Yes, I know, sir. We are needy. We are very needy. Um, and so I thought about it some and I was like, okay, so how do I find this animal that is gonna help me figure this stuff out? And she was like, "Well, my dog just had a litter of puppies. Um, she got out of the yard again and found a male dog and stuff that's natural happened." And I was like, "Well, are any of the puppies like suitable?" And I wasn't even really sure what I would need or what a service dog has to be or anything like that. And so we did the research and main thing that they have to be is they have to be really people oriented. They have to be more interested in you than anything else. They have to be more interested in you than food, more interested in you than other animals. They have to really, really be into people. And yeah, Doodles is a turkey. He's an ornery thing. But they have to just love people a lot. And the other thing is they have to be highly intelligent, like the smartest dog you can find. They have to be able to notice, hey, she's having a problem. What do I do about it? Okay, I need to do this. Okay, I need to figure out how to tell her. And so you have to have high emotional intelligence and high actual intellect. Those are the things that you cannot train. They have to be there or it won't work. And she did have a couple of puppies out of the litter that she had that were almost ideal. And so I went and I saw which ones saw which ones that were a match for my personality. And we're talking like 6 week old puppies at this point. And we found the one that liked me the best and that I liked the best. And about 4 weeks later, she came home with me. And I started with teaching her basic manners, sit, stay, all that good stuff. And then just through growing up around me, she learned, okay, she has problems with these things. And then as she got older, she learned, okay, I need to help her with these things because if I don't, she's going to be stupid and she's going to get hurt. And then it moved on into she would actually start stopping me if we were on a walk and I was about to walk farther than my body could do. She would stop me and then she would find a place. She would remember the last place she saw that I could sit down and she would take me back to it. And she would make me stay there until she felt that I could safely get back to the house. And I did not teach her to do that. She did that all by herself.
Pretty
I taught her how
remarkable.
to alert me to pain spikes, but I didn't teach her to stop me when I'm about to overtax my body. She totally figured that out all by herself.
Wow.
And that's what I mean by the dog has to be very smart. And Ember was. She was, I don't even know how she figured out half the stuff that she did. And she was constantly taking what she knew and adapting it to different things and finding different ways to help me with what she knew. Like when I was diagnosed with diabetes, I think she knew for a while before that that I was having some kind of problems with my blood sugar. Um, but it wasn't until I knew what was going on that she could actually be able to help me with that. And she started alerting me on when my blood sugar was spiking or tanking.
Hmm.
I mean, service dogs are just crazy smart. I love my girl. I
Is
miss
this
her so
her?
much. Yep, that is my girl. I miss her a lot. I lost her September of last year, and that actually hurt more than losing my dad. Because when you have a service dog, they are with you almost 24/7. They go everywhere you do. You go to the grocery store, they go too. Because under the law, uh, federal law says that a service dog is a live piece of medical equipment. So anywhere you can take a cane, an inhaler, an oxygen tank, a wheelchair, a service dog can go. And the only thing that business establishments, public places can ask you about your dog is one, is this a service dog? Two, are they trained to do something specific to help you? They cannot ask anything else. You do have to have a prescription to have a legitimate service dog. And it's a good idea to have a vest so that you can let other people know this is a service dog so that they can tell just by looking. But you can also tell a true service dog by how they behave because a service dog must be highly trained. They have to be absolutely 1000% on point with uh, their behavior. They have to have very good obedience. They have to be very good canine citizens. They can't be reactive to other people, other animals. They can react to distractions in the environment, but they have to recover quickly, and they can't stay startled, and they can't be overly obsessed with the distraction. So you can tell somebody that has a legitimate service dog versus somebody that it's their pet that they're saying is a service dog. Because the average pet dog does not have the level of training and the level of behavior that is required. Because I know a lot of dogs that are really awesome, but they could not handle going into a grocery store and doing the things that a dog must do in a grocery store to be able to not be a distraction for other shoppers and not be a problem for the workers. Like going to the bathroom in the store. That is very frowned on. That's not okay. Um, and just typical behaviors that a service dog learns not to do, and that you get trained into them before you ever take them into that grocery store or into that restaurant or into the craft store. Um, they have to be very solid on these things before you ever take them to those places.
Sure.
My current service dog who took over for Ember, she's about a year and a half old now, and we're at the point where she is going into grocery stores and Walmart and stuff like that with me, and she's learning what is expected of her there. We can't be overly nosy with stuff on the shelves. We can't be very friendly with other customers, stuff like that. We can't be very reactive to stuff. And she does very well. We're still a little reactive with other animals, but she's getting there. Um, and it's just a process. And also, it can take up to 2 years, a year to 2 years, to have a fully trained service dog. And you can train them yourself. I trained Ember and Jane, both myself. I also had a dog at the very beginning of my chronic pain journey, Bandit. Oh, that's my Janie. I love her so much. She's such a sweet dog. She's so smart. And she's very good at something else that is extremely important. Um, if you're going to take your service dog into a restaurant, they have to understand that people food is not for them. They have to not be interested in it. They have to be able to ignore the fact that it is there. They can't be nosing up on the table, trying to get into the food that's on the table. They can't be a nuisance to you or anybody else in the restaurant. Ember was very good at being in restaurants. She would just lay there, and yeah, the people that were there when we came in would know that there was a dog there, but anybody that came in after we did, after we were seated, they had no idea that there was a dog there until we got up to leave. And that's the way that a service dog should be. I haven't really taken Jane into any restaurants yet because we're still getting solid on how we're supposed to act in public places that dogs don't normally go. But we are working up to that. And the other night I posted a video of this, a short on my channel. Um, that I have a bag of McDonald's food sitting on the center console, and she's sitting in the passenger seat just like she is in this picture. And she didn't care that that bag of McDonald's food was right there. She knew it was there. She could smell what was in there. She knew it was something that she likes, but she knew it was not for her. And she left it alone. Instead, she wanted me to scratch her. And that is absolutely what you want. They don't care about that bag of food, they care about you. And that is absolutely 2000% the most important thing. And so, given that she's got that down, I'm pretty sure that if I were to take her into a sit down restaurant like Denny's or someplace higher end, that she would do just fine. Um, I do miss the first dog that I worked with that I was working on training to be my service dog before Ember. I, I miss my bandit. He was a great dog. Um, and I had been in the process of teaching him how to help me with mobility. Um, and then I realized that my dad needed him more. And he bonded with my dad, and he became my dad's unofficial service dog. Yeah, that's my bandit. He was about 24 inches at the shoulder, just to give people an idea as to his size. And he would have been ideal for me as a mobility dog. But again, my dad ended up needing him more. My dad suffered from post polio. He had polio. He contracted it out of a public swimming pool at the age of 9. And by the time it was done with him, it had eaten about half of all of the skeletal muscles in his body. And what post polio is you can ask the remaining muscles to do what all of your muscles were doing for a certain amount of time, usually 30, maybe 40 years. You can get away with that. But after about 40 years or so, those muscles start breaking down as well because they've been overused for 40 years. And so by the time dad was to this stage, he had trouble walking, he was becoming a fall risk. Um, and he just couldn't get along as well as he used to. And Bandit started helping him with that stuff, and he would let dad know, and he would also let us know when dad was starting to get into a place where he needed more help. And well, dad passed away before Bandit did, and you think animals don't grieve? I can tell you they absolutely 2000% do. They absolutely do. Because the last time Bandit saw my dad, he was being loaded into an ambulance. And then he never saw dad again. And then he knew when dad passed away. I don't know how he knew, but he knew. And after that, I'd never seen this dog so sad. He wouldn't get up. He was hardly interested in eating. I mean, he was, if you've seen a human depressed, that's the way this dog acted. He was just the most depressed creature I'd ever seen, and I didn't know what to do. And that's part of the reason also why I got Ember, because it helped both of us. Having having Ember for us to teach helped him come out of his funk, and it also helped me. And so Ember, she not only helped me physically, she helped heal me emotionally from losing my dad. And I think that's probably also why it was so hard to lose her last year, was she wasn't around when dad was, but she was kind of the last link that I had to Bandit. And he was my last link to dad. But Bandit was all of the things that a service dog needs to be too. Highly smart, highly interested in people. Uh, yeah, he was horribly abused when I got him, but by the time I was starting to look at using him as a service dog, he'd gotten to the point where he realized that the universe was not evil, and 90% of the people out there were not wanting to hurt him. In fact, they were more interested in giving him pats and scratches than anything else. So I knew that he would work out. But again, Dad needed him more. And that's one of those things where you think you're rescuing an animal for one reason and it becomes something else that you weren't exactly expecting, but it was what was supposed to happen. And so Bandit was supposed to be Dad's dog, and okay, I needed to look for another one. And so that led me to my girl, and then I swear if I didn't get Ember when I did, I probably would have hammered myself into a wheelchair by now, and I would not be able to walk anymore, and I would probably be an even more sad sack than I sometimes am. And God bless my husband, absolutely, because he didn't meet me until 2009, which was well after uh, I had become disabled. I struggle to walk sometimes. On top of the chronic pain, I have mobility problems because my right leg does not always function properly. Uh, my Sometimes that nerve, it just is like, okay, I'm done. I've had it. We're not working anymore, and good luck to you. Have a happy rest of your day, but peace out. I'm done. And yeah, that's not very much fun. But this was not something that Ember was very capable of doing because she was only 30 pounds of dog. But it's impressive what she was able to accomplish with her little 30-pound self, because she was able to stop me in my tracks. She would stand on my feet if she had to. Um, and she would stop me and she would make me go sit down. And if she noticed that my pain level was spiking, she would stop me. I mean, from clear across the room, she would make eye contact with me. Only time she ever did it. And she would make eye contact and make sure that I saw she was making eye contact. And that was her way of letting me know, hey, you're having a problem, you need to fix yourself. And sometimes I would ignore her, and she'd get closer and she'd make eye contact and make sure I saw that she was making eye contact, which again was her way of saying, hey, I told you once, fix yourself. And sometimes I'd blow it off and I ignore her. And so she'd get right up on me. And this was the only time she would ever get up on me. And she would put her paws on my chest and she would look in my eyes and she'd be like, hey, I've told you twice, fix yourself. And so I would ultimately end up doing what I needed to, go lay down, take my pain meds, uh, sit on the heating pad, whatever it was that I needed to do to get things back to right. And once I did that, she'd leave me alone and everything would go back to normal. And she'd go back to doing dog stuff over on the other end of the room. But she was also always right where she could monitor me. I mean, it may be from across the room, but she would be where I was and she would make sure that she was paying attention to me. And if I was having a problem, she would make sure I knew. And she would not let me get away with shit. And Colby saw it more than once. She would call me to task, and you'd be like, "What? Little 30-pound dog can do that?" Yeah, she absolutely did. Other people might not have realized what was going on, but that was fine. Other people didn't need to know what was going on. I needed to know. And Jane and we've worked out a communication method that works well for us. She will walk up to me and bunt me in the arm with her nose. The arm, the back of my leg, whatever she can reach. It's like, hey, 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 excuse me, hey.
I suppose whatever works.
Yeah, it's the communication method. It's whatever works for you and your dog.
Right.
It doesn't have to be anything specific. It can just be, you can teach them what you want, or you can just kind of work it out yourselves. Um, with both Ember and Jane, I just kind of worked with what they did naturally.
Absolutely. So
Uh,
Jane looks a little bigger than Ember was. You
yes,
mentioned Jane
Jane
was
is about 55 pounds,
okay.
which is a good size for a mobility dog. She's learned to do all of the things that Ember could do, but she ultimately is going to help me with my mobility as well. And you need a dog that's at least 50 pounds because they have to have that weight behind them to be able to do what you need to what you need a mobility animal to do. And also they have to be of a certain size because asking them to do these things when they're not large enough can hurt them over time. I mean, yeah, they'll do it because they love you and they want to help you. But there are some things that it is unfair to ask of a 30-pound dog
Mhm.
that it is totally fair to ask of a 50 to 75-pound dog or larger. And I mean, Jane, she naturally wants to pull anyway. So what I do that it works for me because it's what I need. She will I have no pull harness. It doesn't mean she can't pull. It means it limits how much she can pull to what I need. And she's able to pull just enough with that no pull harness that she both evens out my gait and she gets me so that I can balance properly, because the two problems that I have with with my mobility as far as walking is concerned is proper balance, because my right leg is significantly weaker than my left, and also because that nerve is damaged, that leg doesn't work normally. So I will drag it sometimes, or it just doesn't quite function properly. Like the last week or so, I've been having problems with it not wanting to take, with not being able to take a full step with my right leg. But when I've got Jane in her harness and she's harnessed and leashed up, she will even that out for me. Um, I'm trying to save up to get a full mobility harness, but those are to get a really good one of those, it's not cheap. Um, the low end of the high quality ones start out between $1,000 and $2,000.
Mm.
That's low end. So yeah, that's gonna take a little while to get happening, but that is the ultimate goal with her, is to get her with a harness, have her trained with a mobility harness. And that's also something that we're currently working on, as far as uh, having the no pull harness that is actually preparing her for the mobility harness,
Okay.
because she's getting used to the idea that, hey, I have this thing on me that limits what I can do, but it also helps my mom. So when we get to the point where we have the mobility harness, she will already be like, okay, this is, when we have this thing on, this is what we do. And she recognizes her service vest. She knows what that is. She knows what it means. And when we get the service vest out, she gets excited. She's
Mm.
like on. She's like, okay, let's do this. And she will stand and she will wait for it to be put on. Same thing with her no pull harness. She will stand for me. She's like, okay, I know what's going on. I'm focused. I'm ready. Let's do this. I'm going to help my mom. And I mean, she is absolutely laser focused because she knows what that means and she understands what that means, and she enjoys doing the job. And that's also a thing about working with any partner, because your service dog is your partner. They're your best friend. They go everywhere with you. It is a true partnership. You take care of them, they take care of you. You feed them, you make sure that they have all of their physical needs, you love on them, everything like that, and they take care of you. I mean, it is the highest level of partnership that there is. I mean, the closest that you have with another human is your spouse, but
Sure.
that's not even quite close enough because you're closer to your service dog than you are even close to your spouse.
Don't listen, Colby.
Oh, he knows. He's totally aware. He's totally aware. He saw how much losing Ember hurt me. I mean, it was like somebody ripped out my heart and my lungs and was like, "Okay, keep going."
Hmm.
It's like, "Yeah, sure. You've lost your heart and your lungs, but no, you can keep going. It's okay." It's like, "You will survive." Like, it doesn't feel like I'm going to survive. And then I got to where I grief is a really, really crazy thing because it will affect your body. I mean, I was so deep in grief over losing Ember that I started developing ulcers in my stomach. My stomach was literally eating itself to pieces because I was grieving so deeply. And I had to go on medication to stop that. I also had to go on Lexapro for depression and anxiety because Ember was my safety net in the world. Her job was to keep me safe.
Right.
When she was gone, I didn't have that. And something that my mom struggles with understanding is that. And my husband asked me, and he's kind of accepted the answer. My mom still hasn't accepted the answer. Uh, I got Jane 3 days after I lost him. I lost Ember on the 6th. I found Jane on the 9th and brought her home with me. And I wasn't even looking. I wasn't like seriously looking. I was just seeing what was out there because I knew I needed to find a new dog soon because with the way that my issues are, I knew if I went without a dog long enough that I would go back into those old habits that I had before I got Ember. And I would start driving myself back in that direction that I would have gone if I didn't have her. And given the fact that it does take up to 2 years to fully train a service dog, if I'd waited even a month, that would have been a year to 2 years plus a month.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'd lost that feeling of safety and security that I had that Ember gave me. And I mean, even just having a dog to train gave me back that. And also, Jane, she's just the most bright, bubbly thing ever. And that was exactly what I needed at that time. She didn't, she isn't just my new mobility service dog. She helped heal me from that. And she was like, "Oh, you're sad." And she would do stupid silly things to make me laugh. And she if she notices that I'm starting to get all maudlin and sad and down, she will be completely stupid to make me laugh. because she knows I need that. And that's another thing that, I mean, having a super emotionally and intellectually intelligent dog is important about, because they learn these things and they're like, "Oh, okay, you need some help. What can I do to help?" And something that Jane did a couple of weeks ago that we didn't teach her to do, but she took what we taught her on how to help me and she applied it to my client, because Colby and I were out and about with her and my husband's dog Crypto. Um, and we had my client in the back and she noticed that he was about to have a seizure. And so he gets up, she gets up on him, starts doing deep pressure therapy, which also having a larger dog is good for and important. Because deep pressure therapy, that's where they use their body weight to lean on you. And there's something about that pressure that helps your body relax. And Jane will do that with me sometimes if I'm really upset or really anxious. She will climb into my lap and she will lean on me until I settle down, until I start to relax. And she can feel me relax. And when she feels me relax, then she'll get down and go about her business. Um, and that's also something that I did not teach her. She figured that out all by herself. And so she realizes something's going on with my client and she climbs up, puts the top half of her body in his lap and starts doing pressure, and she's leaning into him. And as the seizure is subsiding, she starts licking his face until he starts talking, and then he starts pushing her off. And again, we didn't teach her this. She figured it out herself.
Hmm.
She's like, "Oh, this is something he needs help with. What can I do? This is the things I know. Okay, this and that."
Right.
I mean, that's really why they have to be super smart.
I've never had a service dog of my own, but to your point, you're absolutely right. When when my big old beast comes over to me and just kind of leans up against me, yeah, there is just something calming about that. Now, granted, I have not dealt with, seizures or anything of that nature, but just that contact itself it creates
Yeah,
a calming something. So
yeah,
that's
it's a physiological reaction to that pressure.
yeah,
When you feel that, it has to be consistent for a certain period of time, and then once it's hit that length of time, it's just something in your brain clicks and it relaxes you.
right, right. Hmm.
And I don't understand the neuroscience behind it, but I know that there's neuroscience behind it. Like,
Fair enough.
I'm not a neurologist, but I know what I've seen.
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. Hmm. Well, fascinating. Um, you ready to take some questions and comments from
Sure,
our
let's
team here? Great. I've got
shoot them up here.
sounds good. So, rock it out with Kim D. Hi. Our old friend Kim is asking, how is a mobility harness, which you've mentioned on the low end, the good ones are in the $1,000 range. How
Yeah.
are they different from just a regular walking harness that you can get for
Okay. A mobility harness. Um, it sits. Oh, hang on. Let me look up a picture. Oh, what did I do? Oh no. Come on. Cooperate with me, phone. Hang on. Okay, I'm gonna screenshot this and send it to you so you can throw it up there.
Okay.
And welcome to Autistic Brain at Work. All right.
Okay. Give me a second to get this up.
Let's see what. Now that's not a really super good one. That's just the first image I came across on a Google search. Um, but that gives you a general idea as to what one looks like. A really high end one uh, will sit over the dog's shoulders because if you see there, that one sits a little bit behind their shoulders. You want it to sit on top of their shoulders so that it's working with their body. And you can have a couple of different styles of handle. Uh, that one, it well, it the handle is set so that it is the right height for your body, and that there's different measurements that go into that. But you can have one that's a fixed one that's rigid, like this one. You can have one that's semi-rigid, and you can have one that's just a handle on their harness that they can use to help pull you up if you need help getting up and stuff like that. But this will help you. You can grip it, and they can pull you along, like help pull you upstairs if you're having trouble getting up and downstairs, um, and things like that. Um, I don't know. Does that answer your question?
We'll get an answer as it hops through here. While we wait on that, let me stop sharing that. Let me pull this up from this young buck. I'm going to brag on Sam here. She is awesome, and I'm happy because tomorrow is my 36th birthday, and she's making me a Velveeta cheeseburger skillet. Ooh, that sounds good. For dinner with ice cream cake. Mmm.
Yeah,
Mmm.
yeah. He's a farm boy. He likes simple food, but I love him.
You know, he's like,
And I was saying earlier, I don't know why he decided that I was the woman for him, but God bless him for doing it because being the spouse of somebody that has mobility issues is not a glamorous life. It because as hard as it is to be someone with mobility issues, having to ask somebody else, okay, I can't put my socks on. Will you put my socks and shoes on for me? Okay, I can't get up. I need help getting up. Can you help me get up? Uh, and sometimes there's help as far as getting in and out of the shower and um, some really very personal embarrassing things. And it's not fun to have to ask for that stuff. And I know he doesn't mind doing it because he wants to help me. but I would not ever ask that of anybody who was not willing to do it. And the fact that he is willing to do it day in and day out, and him noticing that I'm struggling but not wanting to be too helpful. Thank you, Molly. Not wanting to be too helpful or too pushy or like he wants me to be independent, but he also wants to make sure I have help when I need help. So he has to watch me struggle and wait for me to say, "Hey, can you help me?" before he feels like he can step in and help me. That's that handsome fella. Yeah, he's a security guard. And up here in Kansas City, that is one step below being an actual law enforcement officer. Because here in the Kansas City metro, service security guards have to pass a lot of the same tests that law enforcement does. And in fact, when they are, if they want to become armed, they have to take the same arm test that Kansas City Police Department does. And they even do the arm test at the Kansas City Police Academy at their range out there. So it's not rent-a-cop. It's seriously one step below being actual law enforcement. And he provides security for a location in Lenexa. Um, and he's a very good fella. I don't think I could have picked better.
Tip of the hat, Colby. Thank you for.
Oh, I love him and he loves me. Yeah, we have our problems, but it, I mean, from 2009 to now,
Yeah.
hey, Molly. Oh, fine, be that way, little butthead. That's the personality difference between the siblings. Molly and Doodles are siblings, litter mates. And Doodles is very chill, relaxed. He'll let me do whatever I want with him. He's like, okay, fine, whatever. Molly, she's like, no, 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 I don't want you to do that to me right now. I will go over here now because you made me mad.
She's that. She's
She's
more the stereotypical cat.
stereo, not just stereotypical cat, stereotypical orange cat.
Mm,
And she's also kind of unusual for an orange tabby because most orange tabbies are boys.
right.
She's not.
Right. First, first one I heard of a female orange tabby. I'm like, what? No, but
Yeah, yeah,
apparently they exist. Yeah, no, yeah, I know
yeah,
it.
they do exist. 2 out of 10.
That's the number two out of. Okay, yeah, I had one
Yeah,
of the,
two out of 10 is the statistic.
I had one of the
And
8 out of 10. So I had one of the cats
yeah,
or one of the
I've had
boys.
two orange females. Um,
Wow.
one that I got when I was in college in 1999, and she lasted all the way up until 2017. And then Molly and Doodles appeared in my life 20 August of 2018 as orphaned 3-week-old kittens.
Okay.
And I'm sure we're going to hear from Colby about, oh yeah, they weren't even supposed to stay. They were supposed to be go to a cat shelter and get rehomed.
That was never going to happen, Colby.
Oh, I fell in love with the cute little neediness, and
Sure.
I could not, because how do you bottle feed something every 4 hours for 3 weeks and not fall in love with that cute little
Right.
face?
Understood. Understood. Oops, my screen just went.
Uh-oh.
No, it's all good. It's
Oh
just
well,
got
that's
this.
not the first technical drama we've experienced tonight, so
It's this new Mac operating system has like some of these weird features, and I haven't figured out how to turn them off yet. So when I click on a specific spot on a screen, it'll like clear the screen instead of just whatever moving something. So it's a little weird, but we're there. We're through it. Um, Renee says service dogs are awesome. I'm a nurse, and I've seen them for patients with epilepsy, diabetes, mobility, and PTSD. Some of my coworkers aren't receptive, but I love them.
Yeah, that brings up something that is one of my pet peeves, actually. Going into grocery stores and other public places. Something that I really, really wish that businesses would do is teach their workers about the rules on service dogs. Because the grocery store here in Belton that we go to, it's a Price Chopper. I never have any issue going to the Price Chopper here in Belton because they know me, they recognize me. One of the cashiers the other week, she's seen me with Jane and without Jane, and she saw me the other week with Jane, and usually when I'm in there without her, I'm using one of those power carts because I struggle to walk, and I struggle to walk long distances. So I'll usually grab a power cart if I'm there. Pardon me. Oh, okay. I have to have 1,000 alerts on my phone, otherwise I will forget what I'm doing. That's I need to make sure that the dogs get picked up. Hey, babe, can you pick up the dogs on your way home, please? And then another one here in about 20 minutes is going to go off to remind me that I need to take my medicine because I need to make sure I take my Lexapro on time. Otherwise,
Hmm.
fun things happen. So Samantha's friendliness pills, we need those. Samantha without her friendliness pills, not very nice. Nobody likes Samantha off of her friendliness pills, not even Samantha. It's like, oh no. Yeah, the Scientology would absolutely freaking hate the hell out of me, wouldn't they? It's
And
like,
he's yes, yes.
I'm on psych meds. I talk to a therapist every week. Actually, because I'm on BetterHelp with her, I talk to her multiple times a day. uh, Autistic, dyslexic, diabetic, asthma. I'm just a freaking train wreck. And I mean, they'd run into me and go, "Oh, degraded being, degraded being." Like,
And we're over here
whatever.
going, you got the good Thetans.
It's like, yeah, I've got me some body thetans, but we're down, we're cool. It's like
Mhm.
I'll dress the fuckers up in silly costumes and laugh at them occasionally. It's like that's how you survive stuff like this. Is you take the big problems, you dress them up in a stupid costume, and you laugh. Look at what
Sure.
Aaron and them have done with little Davy and his pretend space navy.
There he is.
Yeah. Dress him up in a silly costume and laugh at him.
That's right. That's right.
That's how you deal with the hard shit. It's like there's a great quote from one of the Rocky movies. I think it's where he's talking to his grown son. Uh, it's like you don't how you win is you take the hits. It's not about how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep going.
Right.
It's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward
Hmm.
because that's how you win. You can if you can take the hits and you can keep moving forward, you can survive anything. You can get through anything. I mean, yeah, I've I'm missing two discs at the base of my spine. I've got nerve damage. I've got chronic pain. 2 years ago, I slipped and fell on a patch of black ice on my front porch
Mm.
and got a compression fracture of my T12 vertebrae. That's the vertebrae that's right there in the middle of your spine, that where your back transitions from your thoracic back, your upper back, to your lower back. It's right there in the middle. And so it's right there. And I mean, my joints move more than they should anyway. But the problem with being rubber rabbit is if you're like bone on bone, doesn't matter how much your joints can move. That ain't gonna fix your problem. You're gonna still end up getting screwed up. I never broken a bone before in my life. Before that, yeah,
Mm.
that was an educational moment. I didn't understand that broken bones. Yeah, those do hurt, like super nasty. It's like, and when I did that, how used to being in pain I am. One of the things you learn when you deal with chronic pain on a daily basis for almost 20 years is you learn how pain works. And one of the things that you learn about pain is it has an ebb and flow. Yeah, pain will come on, but it will back off. And then it'll come on and it'll back off. And then it'll come on and it'll back off. So you wait for it to back off. It may come back, but if you wait until it backs off, then you can do stuff. So when I fell, it was 6:15 in the morning. Nobody, I mean, it was January, 6:15 a.m. Nobody is out at that time in our neighborhood. My husband was asleep. My mom was asleep. Nobody was going to be coming to help me anytime soon.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, maybe I'm not hurt that bad. Maybe I will be okay. So I waited for that moment when the pain started to back off. And then I got myself up on my knees. Pain came back because I moved. I kind of expected that. And so I waited for it to back off again. And then I got myself up on my feet. And of course, the pain came back again because I moved, and I expected that. And then I managed to get myself down from the porch to the van. That was fun, but doable. And then I got myself into the van and I was like, okay, I am okay. I can do this. I can do this. So, and then I get myself out of the trailer park that we live in and onto the back road um, to get up to the main road where I could get on the highway. And I'm on the I'm on the back road. I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And then I get, we're talking literally like a one less than maybe half of a city block that I get to the main road to get to the highway. And at that point, I'm like, oh, maybe I can't do this.
Mm.
Maybe I can't. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe this is a bad idea. And then I get another half a city block. And the way that I have to go to get to the highway, it goes past the main entrance of our trailer park. And so I'm halfway to the main entrance. And I'm like, okay, I can't do this. I shouldn't do this. This is a bad idea. I need to I need to get parked and I need to get help. And mind you, this is the same person that saddled up and drove herself to work, walked all the way into Walmart and told her bosses that she couldn't go to work all by herself. That is now going, okay, I am making bad choices. We need help. And so I don't know how I got I don't really remember how I got into the main entrance and into the parking lot for the leasing office, and I have no clue how I got parked. Like, I was perfectly in the space. How I did that, I do not know. I had to have been on autopilot because I can't think of how else I would have done that. Because I mean, I was my conscious mind not functional. Was like, okay, we're not thinking of anything other than the fact that we hurt really bad. And so it was like, yeah, okay. So yeah, I'm gonna stop. And first thing I do is I call my mom and I was like, hey, this is what's going on. Please help me. It's like, what do I need to do? Come get me and take me to the ER. No, I called my mom to take me to the ER. I didn't call the ambulances. I called my mom. That's kid instinct right there. Don't call professionals. Call your mother because she's the one that can fix things. And then the second thing I did was let my boss know what was going on because I was supposed to go pick up my client and take him to school. And I needed to let her know that that was not happening. And her morning was going to take a sharp left turn because she needed to get her own kid ready for school that day, along with her other kids. And so it's like, yeah, sorry. The universe has frowned upon me and I am having a bad day. And so my mom came and got me more ER trips. Although I will say, I've now had an experience with having a CT scan versus having an MRI. MRI, boring as shit. You're supposed to lay there, hold still, do nothing.
Yep.
CT scan, you actually get to cooperate with the machine. That's fun. That's like an amusement park ride. I like that. Of course, I've also gotten to have an adventure in an ambulance. That was boring. I thought it would be way more interesting than that. No, it's just this giant box on wheels with a space for people to drive. It's like, that's boring. I was expecting it to be way more interesting. The TV shows lead you to believe that it is way more interesting than that. No, not really.
But that's when they're trying to jumpstart your heart and they're shoving stuff in your throat. Then it gets to be exciting, but it's only exciting for them. I don't think it's
Right,
exciting
true,
for the patient.
true. That's
So
true. Uh, yeah, they by the time the ambulance became a part of my story, they were transporting me to a different hospital because the ER here in Belton, they're good with basic shit, but they couldn't really do anything with my problem because pretty much Belton ER handles trauma, and that's it.
okay,
And they weren't up to dealing with somebody with a compressed vertebrae.
right.
And they were like, we don't know what to do with this. We don't have doctors that deal with that here, so we're going to send you to a different hospital that has doctors that know how to deal with that.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I'm cool with that. Coming from my experience with Dr. Reinhardt versus Dr. Tomachek, it's like I like the doctors that tell me we don't know what to do and we don't have people who know how to fix you here. We're gonna send you somewhere who that can. It's like, all right, I am down with that.
Right. Tip of the hat to Dr. Tomachek.
Yeah, that man, he was exactly what I needed. And the hospital that I had my surgery done in, they only do head, neck, and spine. That's all they do. And so that was a really interesting experience, um, dealing with such a very specialized hospital.
Right.
Okay, what do we have here?
Oh, Joel is just commenting that service animals are another wonderful example of how much animals do for us. And thank you for having this stream. And
Well, you're welcome, Joel.
yes.
Um, yeah, and there is a distinction between a service dog and emotional uh, emotional support animals, emotional companion animals. There are protections under the law for both. The one that is uh, universal for both is it does not matter if you are living in a building, a house, uh, a hotel, wherever, does not matter. You have a prescription for that animal. It does not matter if they allow pets or not. Your emotional support animal, your service dog, they are working animals, they are not pets. So your service animal, your emotional support pet, cannot be denied the right to live with you. And emotional support animal can be a cat, can be a dog, can be a horse. Uh, Preferably, probably if you're living in an apartment, mini horse. I don't know. I've seen and heard of such things, but I've never experimented with that myself. Um, but yeah, it whatever animal, as long as it's legal to have where you're at, it can be that. It's like I guess you could have an emotional support snake if you wanted to, as long as it's legal.
Right.
But yeah, they can't be denied the right to live where you do. Actually, babe, technically, Crypto is a service dog because he does alert on your blood sugars as well as help you with your PTSD. And actually, there are PTSD service dogs as well, babe. Um,
Okay.
like, yay, being autistic, love research. I research everything, and I research it even more if it is something that I need to do out of self defense. Um, you would not believe you would not believe how much research I did on service dogs and that sort of thing, and then how much research I did regarding nerve damage and what exactly happened to my lower spine and all of that, just so that I could understand it, so that I could explain that to other people.
He's
Okay,
picking up
thank
the
you,
puppy.
baby. See, I love him. That's why I
And
love
uh,
him.
and now he's driving. So
Okay, don't text while you're driving, please, baby.
question from Lumi: are we allowed to interact with emotional support dogs? Or I guess we can also ask the same
Okay,
question for support. So emotional,
service dog. Okay,
yeah,
you run
service
into
dog.
a service dog out in public. What you want to do is ask the handler, "Is it okay?" Because what the problem that I've run into, that I've heard of other people with service dogs running into, is people approaching the dog and going doggy doggy and walking up and petting the dog without the handler's permission, and sometimes even without the handler's knowledge. This is a problem because that dog is there to help that person. If you distract that dog without the person's knowledge, that can put them at risk. Especially if it's somebody that they have a service dog to alert them to blood pressure issues, to heart issues, seizure alert dogs. These are all animals that they have to be paying attention to their person, and they have to be focused on their person. So if you distract them and the handler isn't aware, and you haven't asked permission, that can be a huge problem and a huge risk to their safety. So it's okay to ask, but always ask first. Don't just approach and like you would somebody's pet dog at the dog park. Uh, don't do that because that can be a huge problem. Do ask. It's okay to ask, and don't feel wrong asking. But if they say no, please do respect that.
Great answer. Thank you. Comment from Pup Groomer. It's been hard this last week and a half since I lost my Doxy. He was my service dog for my insomnia. He performed the pressure therapy to help keep me asleep at night.
Oh yeah, that is something that they can do.
Wow.
And yeah, a dachshund would have enough weight to be able to do that.
And Renee says, I think the only barrier to service dogs in a healthcare facility is if they shed a lot, it's difficult to others with severe allergies and respiratory problems.
Right, right. Yes, that's true. That's also why you want to make sure that if you have a service dog, they are bathed frequently and they're brushed frequently, and that they are kept up on basically doggy personal care.
Mhm. I see how frequently the nurses and the staffs are cleaning those facilities, but I can only imagine that longer some of those little hair clumps can get in places that you can't get to quite as
Yeah, well,
easily.
and like she's talking about dealing with people that have pet allergies.
Right.
Um, it's okay. I can put that off for a little while. I just have to make sure I do it here within the next hour or so.
Fair enough.
But yeah, having people with pet allergies and that sort of thing, that is an important thing to be mindful of. Um, but that's something that making sure you're bathing them on a regular basis and making sure that you're brushing them. Uh, well, like this time of year, it's coat blow season, so you want to be brushing even a short hair dog daily. If you're taking them places out in public, you want to brush them daily so that they are uh, you're keeping up with their shedding so that they're not leaving chunks of themselves all over the place and being a problem potentially for someone else.
Right. Makes sense. Renee B asks, Samantha, how is better health counseling?
BetterHelp.
Better.
That's BETTERHELP.
Okay.
It's great. I've been on BetterHelp actually two different times. Once about 5 years ago, and well, no, 6 years ago, and then I got back with it recently because I was having some issues, and it's actually not uncommon for people on the autism spectrum to go in and out of therapy. That's just a little aside.
Hmm.
But yeah, I love BetterHelp. My husband tried it and it didn't work very well for him, but that's also differences between people. Some people need more than others, and some things don't work very well for some people that work great for others. I think the big problem that he had with BetterHelp was he was having trouble finding a therapist he meshed with, which that's something that you're going to struggle with, even doing traditional therapy like Reese does, going in person once a week. But I mean, I love it, and it does exactly what I need. And actually, Talkspace works kind of similar, and um, there are people that BetterHelp doesn't work for, but Talkspace does, and then some people they just need to go in person. It's just a lot what you need. Like I have 24/7 access to her through the app and through the website, and then once a week we do a live kind of like this where we talk kind of as a telehealth setting,
Hmm.
and um, that's how we do our live session, and we do that about once a week. And then if something comes up in between, I can text her and I can message her and I can say, hey, I've got this going on. And if it's something that's not really super important, but I do need a response, she will respond back. And there are some things that we can deal with through that. And then if there's something that it needs a little bit more work, we'll tackle it during our live session. But yeah, I love it. It works perfect for me because sometimes I come up with problems that I'm having at 3 o'clock in the morning, and uh, you don't necessarily want to call your therapist at 3 a.m. and bug them with that when they're trying to sleep. And so it works great where I can, okay, I'm in the middle of the problem, I write it down, I send it to her, and then when she gets up, she can get back to me, and I can also mark it as something that is urgent. And she will that means that she will get to me not when she has a chance the next day, but as soon as possible when she sees it. And so it is exactly what I need. And it works perfectly for the way that my issues work and the way that my brain works. I mean, it's not necessarily something that everybody needs, but it does what I need. And I love it. And it's also not super expensive.
That always helps too, doesn't it? Lori Plays says my dog helps me up off the floor and picks things up that I drop. If the PTSD gets bad or pain level is bad, she will kick me incessantly until I acknowledge her. Helps pass by the problem. So.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And actually, if you haven't gotten her made an official service dog, talk to your doctor. Absolutely talk to your doctor. If you've got a therapist that you're working with, talk to your therapist and get that prescription because that legitimizes it. And while you do not have to show that to anyone, not even where you're living, uh, because you do not have to tell anyone more than this is a service dog and and they are trained to do a specific thing for me. So the fact that your dog helps you up off the floor, will pick up things for you that you've dropped, will tell you that your pain level's spiking, uh, and won't lay off of you until you deal with it. The fact that they will alert you to your PSD, your PTSD having getting bad, stuff like that. All of that stuff, that is legitimate for getting your dog made as a service dog. So that is absolutely I if I were you, I would get that. Uh, get with my doctors and say, hey, I want to make this official and I want to make this legitimate. And then you can get vests and stuff for when you go out in public so that people know. I don't always put a vest on Jane. Uh, like if I know I'm going somewhere that people don't know me and don't know her, yeah, I will because it just cuts down on issues. But yeah, that absolutely, I totally dig what Lori Plays is saying here, and I would absolutely encourage her to, if she doesn't have it, absolutely pursue that because that would make her life a lot easier. Actually, that's what I'm trying to do here is use my experiences, what I've been through, to let to let people that are going through some of the same stuff know that you're not alone. It, there are literally, I think the last count that I saw, and it doesn't even, I think it's way off. Is probably way lower than what is actually real, what the true number is, but that's the way that it is with statistics. Um, Last I heard, there's probably some 10 million chronic pain sufferers and people with chronic conditions. Uh, and a lot of them are isolated and they feel alone until I found the group on Facebook, Patients Not Addicts. I felt so alone in this because I didn't know anybody else that was living with chronic pain. I had no contact with anybody really outside of my home and my family and my small circle of like half a dozen friends, and none of them had much experience with this. And so I want people to know that you can live a decent life even with this. And there are ways to make it work. And there are ways to get through and find solutions to problems that you have. I mean, I have my cane, I have my dog. Um, there are adaptations that can be made to my van to make it easier for me to drive, considering that the leg that I have problems with is my right leg. I know at some point I am going to need hand controls for my car to be able to uh, push the gas and use the brake on my car. There, at some point, that is going to be a thing. I'm aware of that, and having access to other people that, okay, I use hand controls. These are the options that you have for that. You can have permanent ones installed. You can have ones that a normal ambulatory driver can move out of the way and they can drive your car too. And they don't have to use the hand controls. They can use the foot feeds. Just having access to people like that can make this so much easier. And that's the problem with this community is, as individuals, we're typically very isolated in our community, and that makes it very hard and very sad, and it's hard, and you feel alone and you feel sad and you feel scared and you don't have the answers that you need, and your doctors aren't necessarily telling you, and they're not necessarily providing you with the tools that you need. That's the problem that I had with Sherry Reinhardt. That that's a problem that I am still currently dealing with my primary care doctor. They don't necessarily understand, and they don't necessarily think that, oh, hey, she's starting to have problems driving. Maybe we should discuss hand controls. And these are your options. That doesn't always happen. So sometimes you need access to these other people that have been through this that say, hey, when you go to your doctor next, tell them these things. And that's really what I'm wanting to do with my channel and what I'm trying to do here is to my primary message is, hey, you aren't alone. There are millions of people like you, and you can find a way to be okay. And sometimes you have to redefine what okay is, but you can find a way to be some version of that and find something that you can live with. You don't have to be stuck in your parents' basement going, "Oh, woe is me. What do I do with my life?" I know. I did that. I did that for 4 years. And yeah, it's like there is a way out of that, and there is a way through. I've found the way through. I have 2 kids. I have a husband. We own our house. I have a job. Yeah, it's not what I would prefer to do, and it's not what I was doing 20 years ago, but it is a job, and it makes me feel like I am doing something important. Working with my nonverbal autistic client makes me feel important because I understand him and I care about him and I care about his mom and his little brother and his little sister. And I know that I do something important for them. And I couldn't want more than that. And Molly and Doodles, I mean, we rescue animals. That's what we do. I mean, yeah, right now we're doing it on a limited basis, one at a time as we can. But I mean, if we hadn't taken Molly and Doodles in, they wouldn't be alive now. They would have starved to death. Molly would have she would have died from the eye infection she had when she first came to us. It's like she really wouldn't have made it. But I mean that is also a way to win. It's like that's something that's fulfilling. But I mean, yeah, that's my big message. You guys aren't alone. There's millions of us.
It's an awesome message. Thank you for that.
And yeah, you're not alone in your problems with your hands, and I hope we do figure out what's going on with that because
Yeah.
not being able to write properly, that's not being able to sign a check is a big problem.
Yeah, that's why we have debit cards. I'm kidding, of course. I'm kidding, of course. But yeah, I would definitely like to get that resolved. So we'll get
Yeah,
there. We'll get
I,
there.
I I totally dig that. I understand.
Pup groomer just validating. There are typically more groom. There is typically more grooming that goes with maintaining service dogs than with maintaining regular pets.
Yes,
Understood.
exactly.
Understood. Karini says, I do not have a service dog, but I have 4 dogs who help me a lot with my mental issues. Love them so much.
That sounds like a situation where having at least one of them certified as an ESA would be helpful. Um, and again, how you do that is you go to your doctor, you go to your therapist, and you get them on board and you say, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I need. If I didn't have this, I would be a lot worse off. And you get them on board and you get them to write the letter that says you have to have them.
Hmm. There you go, Karini.
It's not I want them, it's I need them. That's
And,
really the defining factor between an ESA and a pet.
and you always have me, Karini. So
Oh, you got me too, babe.
there you go. Okay, so Lori's story, it was lick, not kick. So dog's not kicking her, dog is licking her. That's probably a little less painful, but
Yeah, that probably is a little bit more effective as far as especially when you're having a pain spike.
yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, it would motivate being kicked until you do something. That would definitely motivate you to do something.
Absolutely. But they'll both get your attention. So Karini says, Samantha, you are so brave. Keep your chin going, keep your chin up. She is going to definitely subscribe. I'm going to take that off. And here is her channel at YouTube. It's One Tough Chick 78. So please, everybody, swing on over, subscribe. I had also earlier, and in fact, I might still be able to get to it here. I had also added a link to uh, where was it? Right here. Samantha's video on support animals. There is the link to that. Once you subscribe to the channel, it'll be right there in her videos. But do check that out as well. It really kind of breaks down, and uh, it was the thing that I was. She required me watch it before I talked to her. So um,
Well, I wanted you to be able to have at least some place to start from because you said you had no foundation to even figure
no,
out where to start to ask questions.
uh, you know,
And
and I was like you were when you first kind of started the journey. Yeah, I've seen the service dogs for blind people. I've seen um, that might have been it, right? In my life, that may have
yeah,
been exactly
yeah,
just the
a
most
lot of
I've
people,
seen.
the only service dogs they've ever seen are the ones that help the blind get around and not run into things and
Yeah,
stay safe.
yeah, absolutely. That's all I knew. So I no, thank you um for showing me both in that video and then as we've talked and
Yeah,
obviously tonight as
and
well. So
I mean, if there's more that you need or want to know that you didn't see here that isn't in that video, write it in the comments. Write it in the
yes,
comments to this video. Write it in the comments to that video, and I'll do follow-ups and I'll answer your questions. And if you have a question I don't know the answer to offhand, I will look it up and I will research my butt off until I figure out what the answer to your question is. And I will try to give you as good of information as I can. Oh, thank you, Kareen. I appreciate that.
I think we all need Samantha as our what's the right word, researchers, because I know you dive in and I appreciate that as well.
Well, I mean that's actually what people not all autistics because autism is a spectrum.
Right.
And a lot of people think of the autism spectrum as there's the ones like my client that need a lot of help down here, and then there's the ones like me that are kind of over here on the other end. Now, it's actually more like when you go in to pick the colors on like an art program where it's got that complete like where colors blend into each other and
Mhm.
you've got kind of the greenish over here and the reddish over here and the bluish over here and kind of purple that's more what the autism spectrum is like uh, because no one autistic person is like any other autistic person. If you've met one autistic person, literally you've met one autistic person. uh, because even among the folks that are nonverbal, there's a spectrum among them as well. Like my client, he's nonverbal, but he is very interested and he's very able to communicate what he wants and what he needs. Although we did run into a roadblock with that yesterday, and I'm not going to talk a whole lot about him because I do want to be mindful of his privacy. Because he has a right to privacy. He's 19 and he does have a right to have his own life and not have me drag him into things. But I mean, the variety of autism, I guess you could call it, that I have, some people like to use functioning labels, high functioning, low functioning, but that's also misleading. What the community has is currently using is how much support you need. high support level versus low support level. Like, I can drive. I can pay my bills. I need reminding sometimes to make sure I've paid my bills. But I can pay my own bills. I can manage my own money. I can grocery shop all by myself. I can cook supper. I can do all of these things that someone like my client has to have done for them because they cannot. Either the task is too complex or they just don't have enough awareness of danger to be able to go, oh, the stove is hot. I need to be mindful of that. And so I do have a lot of freedoms, and I am um, very well aware and very capable as far as that is concerned. That does not mean that I do not have issues and I do not run into problems, uh, because I do. I often will forget to pay bills. It's not that I don't know that they exist. It's that I will think about doing the thing and then I will not make the leap to actually doing the thing because there's a gap between thinking and doing. And sometimes I have trouble bridging that gap. Like, I mean to write a text message or an email. I've seen it. I've thought about it. I've come up with the what I want to respond, but I haven't actually done it. And then I will forget that I didn't do it. And then when I get into my text messages for something else, I'll go, "Oh, I thought I responded to them. I didn't." And same thing with I've got a package I need to mail to Reese, and I keep forgetting to do it. It's sitting right there. And I look at it and I go, okay, I need to take that with me in the morning so that I can drop it off at the post office after I take my client to his day program. Well, it's been sitting in there for 4 days and it hasn't even been packed up yet. But I mean, these are the kinds of things I run into a problem with. And actually, I'm gonna out myself, and my husband's probably gonna watch this later if he's not still watching. Um, I ran into a problem with our gas bill very recently, as in, we just got our gas turned back on Wednesday. I forgot to pay the gas bill enough months running that it stacked up to a $900 gas bill, and they turned our gas off because I forgot to pay it. Even though I got the, hey, you need to pay this off because yeah, we're gonna turn you off. Yeah, that's why I need reminders to, hey, have you paid your gas bill? Have you paid the lot rent? Have you done this? Have you done that? Oh crap, no, I didn't. And so yeah, it's like that's the kind of stuff I run into problems with. But the type of Asperger, the brain. All right, my brain went all scrambles. Um, the type of autism that I have uh, in the U.S. was referred to as Asperger's. Outside of the U.S., it is still in the diagnostic manual as Asperger's. In the U.S., it's been changed to ASD level 1 or type 1. And basically, that means that I'm highly social. I love things that are detail oriented. I love things that are pattern oriented, which, well, eh, crocheting. That's detail and that's pattern. And it's like that's all stuff that speaks to me. Uh, and then also because I love things that are details and patterns, I love to research because I love to read. Of course, dyslexia makes things fun because dyslexia is an issue with reading. But that there's also some positives and negatives in that as well, which I will go into at some point on my channel. Uh, what that is like for me, and also what that is like for people with dyslexia and autism in general. But sorry, I have rabbit trailed and I forgot where I was going.
Okay.
I warned you about that. Oops. It's like I'm not even aware that the rabbit trail is happening sometimes until I catch myself in it because I lost track of where I was going.
How'd I get there? Yeah.
I don't know where I was going, so moving on.
Fair enough. So we got a couple of comments. Karini says you described so well the autistic spectrum. It's not one thing. She's not autistic, but she works with people on the spectrum. Pup Groomer also says autism is like fingerprints. Every single diagnosis can be similar but completely individual and different in its own way. True,
Yeah.
true.
Well, I mean, my parents hit the tap 3 times on kids, and they ended up with 3 different flavors of Aspies. My older sister
Wow.
is Aspie regular. She is standard textbook Asperger's, like absolutely across the board. Uh, she's very literal. She's very analytical. Uh, she doesn't always get humor.
Right.
And then me, I'm autism plus dyslexia. And then my younger sister, she's autism plus OCD.
Mm.
And so they visited the tap 3 times and they ended up with 3 different Aspies. Although my younger sister really doesn't accept the idea that she's autistic, but that that's to each their own, and she doesn't have to.
Right.
She is aware of what her issues are and she deals with them. She doesn't have to accept the label. I mean, it's helpful to me because I went 40 years thinking that I was a defective human. And then I found out that I wasn't a defective human. I was just trying to human the wrong way for me. And that made all the difference because I mean, up until then I was trying to live my life as a neurotypical person because I thought I was one. I just thought I was really bad at being one.
Sure.
And then I found out that I wasn't. I wasn't neurotypical. I was this other thing, and I was like, "Huh." And then I started looking into it, and I was like, "Huh. Okay. So stop doing those things and try this instead." And that worked so much better for me. And I, I'm way happier knowing that I am on the autism spectrum, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm autistic," and I'm cool with it, and I like it. And it took a long time for my husband to really come around to that idea because since I talk about it a lot, I talk about it a lot because it affects my every single thing about my everyday life. It affects everything,
Yep.
and it's something that uh, is typically diagnosed around toddlerhood. But if you know what you're looking for, it can be diagnosed as early as 6 months. And based on things that my mother has told me about my behavior uh, when I was 6 months old and how it changed from before then to after, there's a very clear shift. And if people had known what to look for then, I would have been diagnosed as autistic then because it was very clear and it was very definite.
We just didn't know what to look for 40 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, when I was a child, the people that got diagnosed as autistic were people like my client. that were very, very blatantly, obviously different. The reason why some of the quote unquote higher functioning or low support needs autistics still aren't being diagnosed until they're into their 20s, late teens, early 20s, is because we are aware and we learn at a very early age that it is not okay to be different, and we are aware at a very early age if we are different. And so if you're capable of noticing that, you learn to camouflage that because you know it's not okay. Hey babe,
Ow.
you want to come say hi to the people? Oh, look, look. It's the handsome man in person.
Yeah, Colby.
James, come here. Come here, Goober.
Ow.
Oh, hi. Yeah, the Frenchies. Yeah, you give me the French kisses. Oh, yes, I love the French kisses. Oh, yeah.
So our last question was one that Renee had asked of me. Denver Steveo, what can you share about and assist? I think this was two others. Not to put me on blast. How can we assist you? How can whatever. How can chat assist me? Well, to the first part, I'm just kind of bringing in. I am a never in when it comes to Scientology, and I am. Never in when it comes to chronic pain, at least so far. Um, that being said, I am here to provide a voice box, to provide a microphone, to be a megaphone for others who, whether it be an ex-Scientologist or a group of ex-Scientologists that want to get their message out, whether it be somebody who has experienced chronic pain and who has had the wonderful opportunity to work with service dogs. It doesn't really matter. My thing here is to again be that voice, or to help them get their voice heard by being a megaphone to them. I will, when I can, incorporate my own experiences. Excuse me, I'm sliding down in my chair. My own experiences and my own life knowledge to help with those arguments, and those, and to communicate that through. When I can't, I will certainly be a sympathetic ear and a sympathetic body, person, to help with that. And that's why I'm here. So, and that's how I'm going to continue to help, through the blanket, the bubble of SPTV, but certainly not limiting it to the Scientology realm. How you can help me right now, just be there. And I'm serious about that. It is that simple. Be here, listen to the shows, contribute, put comments in chat, ask questions, get your friends and family to subscribe to me, but let's keep the dialogue moving, and if you're here, you're adding your energy, your energy, your humanness to this whole thing, and we can work as a collaboration together. I'm not asking for new fingers, or I'm not at this point asking for new kidneys, any of that, but hey, the day may come. Anyway, that's
Well, you're still early in your diagnostic process as far as what's going on with your hand. So
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
haven't even gotten a diagnosis on that yet. We don't know what's
No,
going on.
no, everybody can't give me a diagnosis, so we'll get there. But you're right; it's we're still very early on that. Um, but yeah, as far as helping me, or what those in chat, what you Renee can do for me, just be here and just contribute as you do. That's you know the way we as content providers, people. There's a word for it. Content creators. Geez, I lost the second word for a second there. The way we live is on the feedback and on people being here with us. Working back and forth. When we do a show with Samantha here, ask the questions like you did and like you have been doing. And that's not just to you, that's to everybody that's out there, and that's to the ones that aren't out there right now that may be watching us on the replay crew. I love the replay crew. I love knowing that people have been there. Certainly, one measurement of our success ends up being those watch hours. Who's watched a certain video and how many hours? That's great. But man, when people are here live and are part of the conversation, and that's what makes us know that
Nope.
you know
Go on.
we get that feedback, and we know that things are going right. So that's all I ask for. Maybe a couple of things off of my Amazon wish list. I'm kidding. A couple cups of coffee from the thing. No, it's all good.
Ask for my PayPal. Send me some
Yeah, I
some
got my
cash
I,
to
I got my
get
Venmo in there.
that
Send it.
circus harness going on.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I feel so funny. Here's 5 different ways to buy me stuff or send me money, but I don't really want it. But so
Yeah,
anyway,
I mean, I don't really. I'm not gonna ask for the help, but if people want to help me with that, it's like I'm not gonna turn it away because I've learned better than to say, "Oh no, I don't need help." It's like,
right.
no. One of the things that I've learned from living with chronic pain for 20 years is when you need help, ask for help.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Jane. That's enough.
Hi, Jane.
She's sassy.
One, Poe, John Poe is a good friend. We have conversations. We've had conversations off of the air, and um, he always says, one, it's not about that, but two, every little bit of assistance goes right back into the channel, goes right back into keeping this going and making sure that we're keeping it going successfully. So I'm not asking because I don't need it, but for anybody who wants to help contribute, I will never turn it down, because once again that all goes back into the channel. As a lot of you know, anything that comes through the super realm, that's super chats, super stickers, or super thanks, which is the way that you would do like a super chat in the comments for the replay folk. All of that money is going to Mike Rinder right now, and it's so great to see Mike was on right before we got on tonight with Claire and Mark, and it's always great to see him. But the money keeps going to Mike until we and all of the revenue money, the ad revenue money that comes through YouTube too.
Say hi to the people. Say hi,
Is
people.
that Jane?
Yeah.
Oh,
What are you
oh,
doing, Jane?
oh.
What are you doing? What are you doing, weirdo? What are you doing, my weirdo?
I think But anyway, all of that money goes to Mike until we get an all clear, till we get a good diagnosis for him. So it's all about helping. It's all about the paying forward, and it's all about getting the message through. Anyway,
Yeah, this is the wild goober herself.
there she is. Hi, Jane.
Maybe no.
Karini, I think Billy is downstairs right now. I just got a new couch and love seat today, and
Oh.
yeah,
Oh yes, the animals must break in
they right.
they must break in the new furniture. Yes, that is
For,
required.
First thing he did when the furniture place, after they dropped their stuff, took the plastic off. First thing he did is found his spot. It just happened to be a different piece of furniture, and boom, he knew right where it was, right where he's always sat. He goes, boom, just plops right down with his head
Okay,
hanging over the
my spot
armrest.
right here.
Yep, he knew where it was. So he's hiding downstairs right now.
That's awesome.
Renee says thank you. Oh, Joni's poking her head in. I am holding DM hostage until Steve-O gets better. Oh, wow. So, Joni, but I have him right here. He's right there. Remember, tomorrow, go to the thespshop.com and he will be available. Pimping him out. Samantha has been in pain. I think we're recapping here. Thank you, Logan.
Yeah, that's my buddy Chris.
Okay. Samantha has been in pain a lot, and I wish she was not in pain the way she has been. Well, I'm not going to thank him. You thank him.
Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. And I know how you feel about what I deal with, and we've talked about it a lot.
Thank you, Karini. And are there any more here? No, but I'll just leave it at that because that was just a sweet message.
Yeah, he's a sweet guy. And also, he is available. Yeah, anybody that
ladies,
lives in North Carolina around Ann Arundel. Where is it that you live, Chris? Tell people. Where do you live?
or anyone willing to have a long distance relationship, perhaps.
Attack dog. It's a wild dog.
Oh, she's awesome. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I love that because you see service dogs and they're obviously in their work environment. They're very proper. They're doing their jobs. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. It's so wonderful to see them having fun like this too. So
Yeah. Well, right now she's at home, so she gets to dog. She doesn't have to be all proper and perfect right now.
Right.
Of course, we have our ever present Chewy. She drags these things around all over the place. She takes them in the car. She takes them over to grandma's.
Very cool. Very cool.
She thinks she's a giant lap dog.
Well, we are out of questions, so I want to say thank you. Thank you to everybody that was in the chat. Samantha, thank you to you for having the conversation. Remember, everybody, and let me just get the banner back up here. Remember, please swing on over and subscribe to Samantha's YouTube channel. It's One Tough Chick 78. And when you see One Tough Chick in chat, say hi. Because she'll say hi back.
Always.
But I see more conversations being had as a result of this. I think both you and I think other people in general. I think that it's a great. This is a great starting point to really folks understanding more, not just about service dogs, but learning more, understanding more about chronic pain and what that entails.
Well, I mean, we need to destigmatize this stuff
Agreed.
because pain is always thought of, has always been thought of. Oh, it's just something that you overcome, and it's no big deal. And why are there so many different kinds of narcotics and stuff like that?
Yes.
And it's like, okay, there are 10 million chronic pain sufferers out in the world that we know of.
Mm-hmm.
There is likely way more than that, but that we know of, there's 10 million. And a lot of those are on narcotic painkillers. And the percentage of people who are prescribed narcotic painkillers, we're talking hydrocodone, we're talking oxycodone, we're talking OxyContin, all of that stuff. The percentage of people who actually become addicted that are taking it for legitimate purposes, pardon me, Jane is shaking my computer while chewing on her butt. Gotta love animals. But yeah, the percentage of people that are taking it for chronic pain, which is what it was designed for, that actually get addicted is less than 2%. What's 2% of 10 million? So really the attempt to get rid of narcotic painkillers is an attack on chronic pain patients. Because a lot of these people have tried other medications. A lot of these people are also on things like gabapentin. That's not narcotic, not typically addictive, but they also need to be on narcotic painkillers as well. Because gabapentin does not take care of all different types of pain. Jane, you're being a nuisance. Go on. I mean, it doesn't take care of a whole bunch of different types of pain. It does help with nerve pain, but it doesn't completely take care of it. So a lot of people need more than that. And we're talking about people who have literally tried everything else. Tylenol doesn't work. Advil doesn't work. Freaking naproxen sodium doesn't work. Aleve doesn't work. Or it's not enough. Or it's like taking Tic Tacs. It takes way more than what is actually beneficial for your body and healthy to actually achieve a result. And so it's like, what else do you do? What else is there? That's why they created the narcotic pain medicines. And it's the people that it gets prescribed to either when there's something else that can handle the problem, or they needed it because they broke their leg and they only needed it for that period of time where their leg was healing, and they're getting prescribed it, getting refills on it way past when the leg is healed. Because I'm not gonna shit you, broken bones suck. Having finally experienced one, they do suck, but there is a point in time where it stops sucking. And once you get to that point, you don't need that medicine anymore. And where a lot of people are getting addicted to the opioid painkillers is they're keeping taking it past when they actually need it. And I am by no means am I blaming people that have become addicted, because that was not their fault. Either they have addictive brain chemistry already, which that's not your fault, or you were continuing to get prescribed it past when you actually needed it. And that is also not your fault. But I mean, why punish 10 million people for the 2,000 or 10,000 or the smaller number that are going on to abuse it? Why do that? I mean, that's like you have 20 children in the classroom and 2 of them were bad, so all of them lose out on the treat rather than just the 2 ones that were doing inappropriate things.
Yeah.
It's like, what sense does that make?
None at
Exactly.
all. Yeah. So
Okay, and now I'm done ranting about I'm done ranting about that.
all good, all good. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think we will take our leave. Thank you all once again. Remember to subscribe. Like and share this video as well. Make sure those folks that weren't here tonight catch us on the replay as well. I think there's some important messages that were passed on. So, you know, you yell at your friends when you see them hanging out with Reese tomorrow or whatever. I'm just making stuff up. But anyway, you know,
I love being one of Reese's PCs.
I do too. I just I don't know. I was going to say something about a cooter, but I won't. So, because that's a Reese thing.
Turtles are human body parts.
They are. Or are they? Since not all humans have one.
True.
Anyway, we'll leave it there.
Stop.
Have a wonderful night, everybody. We will see you next time. Samantha, thank you. You hang on. Once we end this, we'll say our formal goodbyes. But to everyone else, have a wonderful night.
Bye, people.